like the vote.
A lot of it is Jennifer, of course, still, they can't like that.
Can hear you.
Also, well, oops.
Yeah.
And also tomorrow, 9/11, let's keep them in our hearts, the victims and their families, and I'll never forget. So please, moment of silence. Thank you. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for coming, and also those that have been on screening. We had a couple of comments, I think. Comments, you would be.
Yes. We have a public comment from Hope Longest at 602 B North Anderson Boulevard. She writes to all of us and she says, "I write to congratulate you on today's town hall meeting, to field questions and vote on plans for the public safety building. You finalized a well thought out and designed plan. And I appreciate the arduous task you have completed. Your job seems thankless at times, I am sure, but know that you are appreciated for your dedications and efforts."
Thank you. Any other public?
David Barnes.
This could be dangerous.
My name's David Barnes. I live at 403 South Anderson Boulevard. And I've only lived there 22 years, but back in the 70s, 60s, we used to be able to drive the lake for the beach. And this is in regards to the restriction, any further restrictions on the beach, driving on the beach. Y'all sometimes restrict our privileges for the benefit of a few. The people that bought on Carolina and Serenity Point bought there with the idea that they knew that there was driving on the beach permitted then. You have to drive past Serenity Point to be able to fish. They won't, right now you have a sign up there saying you can't fish any further, and you can't fish in front of these houses. I'd like y'all to consider the fact that it's going to affect tourism, it's going to affect the locals. I'd like y'all to consider not further restricting the driving on the beach. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sharon.
Frank Sharon, 404 Evelyn Lane. If y'all will allow me to read this, I'll do better, and then I'll send it tomorrow, let you have a copy of it. I'm coming today with my realtor hat on and feel compelled to share some thoughts with you. I get the privilege of introducing Topsail Beach to those that have never seen our town and island before and are considering investing here, moving here, or becoming a part of our community, and they come from all over the country. Therefore, I'm here to remind everyone that appearances and first impressions matter. As I get to see the town and island through their eyes. It should matter to all the residents who live here and local business owners who depend on attracting people to Topsail Beach. To that end, thank you for voting on an attractive public safety building that will complement our town. Thanks also to those that have recently redone businesses like Godwin's, Putt Putt, Larry Delacue, the new yet to open bookstore, to complement the longer lists of current businesses in our town. And not the least of which is our beach renourishment program, which is so vital and the envy of coastal towns in North Carolina. Yet, these are my concerns. First, downtown property that is not being kept up and tended to. An example is the vacant lot beside the gift basket. It's waist high in weeds and very unsightly. I thought we had ordinances that required property to be kept, mowed, and tended to, or the town would do it, charge the owner. Is this in the center of our village? Perception. I suggest someone with a discerning eye take note and bring to the staff's attention properties that need attention in our town and have those addressed appropriately. Second, trash can. They're the worst eyesore with our new collection company. I don't need to describe the situation to each of you as you've seen it. It reminds me of an inner city neighborhood, certainly not an upscale beach resort town. I've noticed that Surf City has solved that issue by their city employees rolling back the cans right after pickup. So as you ride down South Shore, it's devoid of unsightly cans until you cross our line. Then it's dodgeball from that point on. Perception. Suggest we have town staff or hire a part-time person, roll the cans back, get them out of public sight. Thirdly, tidal and sound side flooding. That's an issue that affects property values as realtors and property owners' obligation to disclose material facts of all this flooding. I recently attended an open house concerning stormwater planning and was surprised to learn that we spent $400,000 a day, realizing it's grant funded, but we ought to pay for it. And then told, when asked to explain what the study determined, that the study addressed only water that falls from the sky, not tidal flooding or surge issues. Seems to me our main issue is water coming out of our storm drains from the sound due to non-functioning backflow preventers, water flowing back onto our streets due to lack of seawalls at the end of various streets and other vulnerable spots. I don't have the answers, but common sense tells me a lot. Strings of oyster shells serving living shorelines aren't getting the job done. Perception. Suggest we have an action plan to address seawall construction and storm drainage maintenance into the sound. Finally, traffic. I'm having to address with clients and prospective buyers the major traffic congestions that one must endure to navigate the approach and departure of the top of the beach. It's been an issue for the last several years, but it has become worsening exponentially. For us to be a welcoming and inviting town, we must coordinate with Third City to solve the untenable backups coming and going with real-time and dynamic traffic management. Our summer holidays tend to fall on the same days every year. So planning starting now will provide solutions for next season. We just cannot wait any longer. Perceptions. Suggestion, create a working group, Surf City, Pender County, DOT, Highway Patrol, traffic control contractors to alleviate the traffic gridlock for the coming summer season. It's no different than a college football game or concert. We know when it's going to happen. Manage it. So I appreciate the time and energy all of you put into your job as commissioners and staff. I urge the town to hold our community to high standards. It matters. It matters from how we are perceived by residents, renters, potential buyers, and visitors. It matters as to property values in short and long term. It matters to existing tax base, all of which are pure dollars and cents. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Kim McGahee. I live full-time at 2011 Ocean Boulevard, on the ocean at the south end. I'm here tonight to ask you to please ban all vehicular traffic from the beach year-round permanently. Living on the ocean, I personally witnessed the destruction of the beach and the dunes by careless parties in their trucks and cars. Very few of them are serious fishermen. If they were serious fishermen, they would walk their hand carts down the beach and find the right spot to pull their catch out of the ocean. But people in trucks and cars on the beach are looking for a scenic place that they can drive to and drink and party. Meanwhile, they leave big ruts in the beach, making it difficult for foot traffic. They leave their trash on the beach and in the dunes. They ignore noise ordinances, and they use the dunes in my front yard as their bathroom. Vehicles on the beach are an unnecessary nuisance, an environmental nightmare, and a potential town liability when some little kid gets run over by a drunk driver on the beach. Please ban all vehicles year-round and make Topsail Beach a family-friendly walking beach. Thank you. St. Tucker, 634 Davis Avenue. It's hard to come behind that one because I'm on the exact opposite end of that one. I'd already planned on being here to voice my support for the to allow beach driving and fishing purposes. And then noticed it was an agenda item, and 3 weeks before the opening of it seems a little short to me, but since we're having it, maybe this would be a good chance to, if we really want a robust conversation about it, to ask the right people about it. Not just the people that live down there, but fishermen that are our local fishermen like David Barnes. And what I know about fishermen is they're not the type to come to these sort of things. So if we're going to spend some time talking about it tonight, and we really want to prohibit something that we've been doing for, over 70 years before the inception of this town, we've been driving to catch fish on the beach. And like David Barnes and slowly over the years, we've restricted it. Personally, all I want to say is beach driving to fish has been happening in Topsail Beach before the inception of this town. So for over 70 years, it has been a part of my every single fall that I've lived on the island. It provides a sense of continuity between the past and the present. I fish with my grandfather, I fish with my father, now I fish with my daughters and my nephews. And it's a place to catch up with friends who share like recreational pursuits. Pickleball is something new to Topsail Beach, and it's not specific to the island. Beach fishing and beach fishing from a truck is specific recreational pursuit that you can only do here. And I'd like to see it continue. So for 70 years of a tradition to be stripped and overturned, there needs to be a specific cataclysmic event, in my opinion, not just the whims of a few people who knew there was beach fishing, like David Bart said, when they came and moved down here. We built a few $1 million houses down there. They think that's their front yard. Well, it's not. That's still in the public trust, just like the waterways. All right. That's just my personal opinion. And now I'd just like to address some of the specifics that I've been hearing. First is fiscally. This is a return on investment for the town in the upwards of $17,000. Now, we spent the last few months talking about a building and how we're spending money and on budget concerns. This is something that costs the taxpayer and the town exactly nothing, and they get $17,000 in return, right? That's just something that sounds logical to me. The other thing is, as he said, people come down specifically this time of year, the fall time of year, to rent houses and spend time down here fishing, specifically at the point, right? So that's part of our tourism money that comes into here that we also keep from Pender County, the accommodations tax. So those are two fiscal things. The second thing is when we talk about conservation or environmental impact, we spend a lot of time and effort money to conserve the south end, but we didn't do it to put it in a box. We conserved that south end to be able to enjoy the recreational pursuits that we've been enjoying for as long as I've been here, which includes driving your boat, anchoring it on the sound side, taking your trucks certain times of the year to fish, because we don't drive on the beach to fish when we want to. We drive to fish when the fish are running. This is how we mark the year, and this is how we mark our time. You go to the mountains to see the leaves change in the fall. We're fishing and catching fish out of the back of our trucks on the south end of Topsail Island. All right. Second thing is I've heard some safety concerns. I've heard safety concerns, but nothing specific. Somebody saying the dunes are eroding, right? And it's not safe for trucks to be there. I'm going to be the first to tell you, fishermen pay more attention to tides and weather and beach conditions than anyone else. They know what the tides are doing. Nobody is going to be taking their $50,000 truck down past that in at high tide to get stuck down there. And my proof of that is we've never in the history of this town ever had to get a stranded vehicle off the south end for fishing purposes. Never. And let me see. Where am I at? Oh, and so I'd just like to say, there's other two, and if we want to say conservation for environmental concerns or ruts, I believe that these two things can coexist. We can have conservation and beach driving. And proof of this is if you just look at Cape Lookout National Seashore and Cape Hatteras National Seashore, which both in my mind can put those two together and they're thriving. Okay.
Oh, the last thing is we're always talking about keeping Topsail Beach true to Topsail Beach. And there's nothing more nothing that's been a part of Topsail Beach longer than beach driving to fish. So in my mind, this is Topsail Beach. So I'll just leave with 4 points. The first one is what would be, and if you decide to prohibit this, what is the big reason that would require us to strip this over 70-year privilege that we've managed to maintain? Yes, sir. Second thing, why would we give almost $20,000 in revenue that's at a cost of nothing for the town or taxpayer? 3, why would we let the loudest voices of a few dictate what the town does? And lastly, we did not conserve the south end to stop using it. Keep issuing beach driving permits. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comment? We'll move over to, mayor's minutes, and this is, one that I'm very glad to do, but I'm sorry part of it's gone. And, this is a proclamation for Doris Jenkins Day, and it's also an acknowledgement of her lifelong, efforts in keeping the post office on our island. And that's something we're very grateful for. So, you want to stay seated?
She didn't hear a word you said.
You may need to walk up.
Okay, yeah,
You're good from this line.
Damon,
As far as I know, if you want to stay seated or stand up, it's your choice.
Danny.
Come on.
Two. Where Doris Jenkins grew up in Folkestone and married her beloved husband Sonny in 1957. Sonny and Doris Jenkins opened the Topsail Beach skating rink in 1964, which is still open and operating today. That's amazing. Whereas the Topsail Beach skating rink is located above the Topsail Beach post office, where Doris Jenkins has been the Topsail Beach postmaster, postmistress, I'm not sure which, since 1962. We're very grateful. Whereas the Topsail Beach post office was operated as a certified public unit contracted under the United States Postal Service for 63 years, with the Retail Postal Administration cutting funding over 300 small postal units in the United States, Topsail Beach Post Office is set to close on September 30th, 2025. Whereas Doris Jenkins has spent her career in service to, okay. In service to Topsail Beach as town clerk. In 1969 to 1973, and in 1975 to 1979, as postmaster and business owner of the skating rink, providing the lasting memories of residents and visitors for generations. And whereas Topsail Beach wishes to extend a heartfelt thank you to Ms. Doris Jenkins for her contributions, helping make Topsail Beach a great place to live and visit. Now therefore, I, Frank Braxton, Mayor of Topsail Beach, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim September 30th, 2025 as Doris Jenkins Day in the town of Topsail Beach.
I'd just like to say that I miss all my customers. I'm sorry it's closed. Have a long run. I've enjoyed every minute of it. But I wish there was some way we could stay open. But we won't. We're just too small a town, I guess. They've tried to close us several times before. And the town got petitions, things like that, and sent them in. And they kept us open. And when we expanded from 100 bucks to the ones we got now, it was the town that helped us get it. But I had a waiting list for people wanting post office box. But it seems like it just feels like that I've not been any support. Our senators and congressmen don't come down here. They don't know how our traffic is at Surf City. They don't know how long it takes us to come on the beach and get off the beach since we're on the bottom end. And I feel like if they would come and spend a week in July 4th, they know what we're
Bingo.
I've been to Hollow Ridge to take the mail. And I've had to go to clean the Stage Ferry and make a run back to Surf City to pick their mail up and then go back to Hollow Ridge. Because I couldn't get off the bridge would be closed. That was when we had the opening and closing of the bridge. And in the summertime, it takes me with the bridge closing and open at least an hour to come back on the beach. And now it's worse because the lights at Surf City are not synchronized. And I've asked the mayor, three mayors up there, three mayors, they're getting those, to be synchronized. But all it has to be is synchronized and it would flow so much easier. I've had a good life in the post office. I appreciate everything everybody's done for me. And I love everyone of you.
Thanks for your choice. Oh, thank you so much. That was hard one.
She should be a commissioner. She knows all the practice.
Right. Okay.
I would stay to the meeting till the end, but I've been gone to Wilmington to my dentist today. And I was in there a right good while. And I'm a little bit tired, so I think I'll let y'all have the meeting and
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doran. Lisa, you go up there. That's it. She's right there.
She's not gonna hear.
Oh,
And her uncle was also a postmaster.
Really?
Yeah.
Carmen Alberti.
In the blood, I guess. But I don't think I can get the mayor's minute on that. With my head on. Approval of the regular agenda. Do we have any changes or corrections?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second. Have a motion to approve the agenda. And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Conflict of interest. Now, this in. No? Sir.
No, sir.
Good. Approval of the consent agenda. Any items that want to be pulled and be discussed? Do I have a motion?
Approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
There's no public hearing scheduled for tonight, so to discuss and consider vote on funding request for the Pender Education Partnership. Tammy Harris. And I will say, I went to the gala,
Yes,
which y'all had, and I was thoroughly impressed by the work y'all did.
thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I wanna hand out these fancy cards. We're just getting so big now, we can actually afford to have these little things to hand out. So excited. There you go, dear. There's you one. For those of you that do not know me, on council, I'm Tammy Paris, and I'm the president of Pender Education Partnership. I have been with this group since 2015. We are the only nonprofit in Pender County that supports Pender County schools 100% of our allocated funds. We support high school scholarships for high school seniors for all of Pender County high schools. We also support educator mini grants for all teachers, educators, staff, media, nurses. If they have a need and they complete one of our applications, my board votes to approve. And I'm happy to tell you that, I mean, it's a rare occasion that we do not approve something that somebody applies for. We understand that not all of the funds in the district support things like technology and materials and books and supplies, field trips and things of that nature with Pender County schools. So PEP steps in and they let us know what we can do to help them. And we do our ever loving best with our fundraisers to try and allocate the funds that they're requesting. I'll give you an example. We had 6 teachers from Topsail Annandale who are with the EC, which is the Exceptional Children Program. They put in a $1,200 ask for a landscape and gardening project that they wanted to do. We supported it 100%. So we were able to do that. Typically our grants cut off at a funding of $500 each. So depending on how you look at it, when you make a donation or we come before and do a budget request, which is what I'm doing this evening, you can allocate the $500 in increments, and then you base that number on how many students or how many teachers, educators that you can fully support with that ask. So tonight I'm coming before the board to request $5,000 for our nonprofit to continue to support the educator mini grants and the high school scholarships that we have been fundamentally able to do. Just to give you an idea, last year we had a record number submittal of our educator mini grants. Out of the 42 submitted, we supported 38. The only reason we didn't do the full amount was because some of them were out of the purview of what we do in terms of asking. And there are athletic boosters and there are sports affiliates and clubs that have thousands of dollars within their reach. And so we try to keep it more on the academic side if we can. And then of course, any of the extracurricular that they would need, such as a field trip or something that we can deem as educational. To give you an idea of some of the things we've supported, we have plenty of teachers who report STEM needs for science and math. We've done robotics with the robotics team. We gave them the money they needed to go to the state competition because they didn't have the money to go. We've also helped with teachers in the classroom that simply needed books and materials that the district office doesn't have the funds to support. You would be very surprised as to the limited amount of money that the teachers have in the classroom to be able to do this on a daily basis. A lot of these teachers come out of pocket for pencils, for wipes in the classroom, for the tennis balls that go on the bottom of the chair so they don't scuff the floor, extra notebooks and things. It really is mind-boggling how much they have to come out of their pocket. So we do what we can, and the application is very simple. It's now online, so they can go in and it's an edible form. They can type it up, send it right to our Gmail. Then my board, we print it out and we vote on it. It's that simple. So we're getting ready to kick off our Educator Mini Grant fundraiser, and it's getting ready to start next week. So all of the teachers in Pender County will get an email from their principal telling them it's time to put your name in the hat, and then they have to submit to us what the project is, what the cost analysis is, what the outcome is, and how many students this particular project is going to serve. So if it's technology, it could be anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 kids if we're buying something that they need to put on the computer or something like that. And so honestly, it makes sense to continue to partner with us because we are making a huge impact in the county.
I can tell you that over the course of my particular involvement with this board, we have allocated over $300,000 to Pender County Schools. So we're going to keep on keeping on. And in the spring, we're going to be kicking off what we're doing with our scholarship initiative. The town of Topsail Beach has been very, very, very supportive of our initiative. The former mayor, Steve Smith, and his wife have been huge supporters of ours. They were one of the first ones to get on board when Dave Stipe was involved. He was the president. We got one of the first flags that you guys had. We got it. Mr. Steve made sure we had it so we could put it in the gym or we could put it on the football field or whatever, because he wanted people to know that the town of Topsail Beach supported Pender Education Partnership. So on behalf of Mr. Steve, because I think he's with me right now, and certainly Dave Stipe, who is not here, but very well known in the community, this is a very, very important initiative to keep going. And as the growth is happening on the east side of the county, it's happening just as much on the west side. Our schools are completely saturated, folks. Y'all have no idea. And so the need is great because we've got anywhere from 25 to 30 kids in a classroom. And the teacher just cannot hold it all themselves. So they have to have these extra things like technology and board games and things like that to do so the students are occupied and they're not sitting around doing nothing. At the same token, up here at the Surf City Elementary and Middle School, we were able to give them a self-care center. The self-care center is supporting things like personal hygiene for the young ladies, clean socks and underpants for the young men if they need it, razors for the young men that are going through puberty and maybe they can't afford to get these things at home. So they go to this self-care center and they basically shop. They get whatever they want, they get to take it home and they can use it. And we did that in partnership with Katie's Kids, with the Kiwanis. So we're partnering with other nonprofits and other civic organizations to keep this thing going. But more importantly, everyone in this room can make a contribution to PET. You can go on our website and you can make a donation. It does not have to be yearly, monthly. You can do one time. You can do a $25, monthly contribution, reoccurring. Very simple to do, but I promise you that every dollar that you give us, we're going to turn right around and we're going to invest it in the kids and the teachers. You have my word on that. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Our $5,000 last year, 25 was allocated to mini grants and 25 was scholarships. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You make a compelling pitch.
And if I'm not wrong in this, and I think at the gala, there was a gentleman there that received one of the scholarships that actually authored software that's used in the MRI system.
That is correct. You're talking about Dr. Johnny Batts. So another thing that we do with Pender Education Partnership is called Wall of Fame. If you've never heard of it, go to our website, www.pendereducationpartnership.org. Look under Wall of Fame. We recognize people that are rooted from Pender County. They either started in kindergarten or they finished in high school and they either did something great in our community or they went out and did something great in the world. And Dr. Johnny Batt is a former physicist for NASA, and he wrote the algorithm for the MRI to do brain scans. And he told me years ago, he said, I never thought that I would leave Pender County and go do something that now the MRI machine is in every hospital. You do a CT scan. It's his algorithm that he wrote to get that done. And I think that's amazing because he said he never thought he would leave the Shepherd's Road, Edgecombe area. But his mama said, go do big things, go do good things. And he went and he did. We have plenty of people. I could go on and name several people that have been put on that wall for what they've done, and not only in our area, but all over the world. They deserve the recognition. And that's another thing that we do at PET. We support that Wall of Fame. We make sure they get on that wall and that they're recognized. You mentioned the gala. We had our 10-year gala in May. And it was a huge success. We brought people from the west side and the east side together for the first time in a long time. We had principals that left from the western side of the county and come over here to join the folks on the east side of the county. Pender Education Partnership is not east versus west. We're one Pender. We support everybody at the Pender County School System. So if you want to do something that you want as a tax write-off and you want to do something that you can see the proof of the pudding, so to speak, get involved with Pender Education Partnership, because we're not going to stop what we're doing. And as you know, with the growth on the east side and the west side, we're just going to continue to get bigger and bigger, and the need is going to continue to get bigger and bigger. And we just want to keep doing what we're doing.
I'll make a motion, we, give $5,000 to DEP.
I second.
Have a motion to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Update for Parks and Recreation.
Well, this will be sort of short and sweet, but I do want to keep you abreast of where we are on Parks and Rec. One, I hope you're noticing our banners. From the time John was on the committee, we have been talking about how to sort of keep that coastal vibe going here, enhance the coastal vibe, and also a way to better communicate our town's events. And we finally have banners and they look great. Our autumn and top doors are up now, so I hope you're noticing those. And as we sort of close the corner on that, we're now focusing our attention on the equipment at the town center park. And what we're concentrating right now is the playground equipment. We're doing an analysis, repair, replace. We think it's going to end up needing to be replaced. Its useful life has sort of come to an end. It was lots of things noted in the annual report last year. We'll get another one in January. But we're learning a lot of things right now about grant process. We had Brittany Ship from North Carolina State University, the Recreation Resource Services. They partner with the Department of Parks and Recreation, and they administer the Park grants. So she went through the grant process with us and learned what we need to be thinking about, what we need to be doing. And one of the things she told us was that some of the playground companies at the end of the year have end of the year sales, you might say. But the way they do it is they will have a grant one-on-one. And we've actually gotten in touch with Cunningham Recreation and Josh Hammond, who was the company that we bought the initial playground equipment for. But there's a couple of others. And when they offer to give you a one-on-one grant, then if we then apply to PARTA for a grant, what we've gotten from them counts as part of our town match. I mean, so I just want you to know there are many irons in the fire. We are looking at all of them, and we just keep making incremental steps. And I hope by the first of the year, we have something to bring to you to consider. And we may not make it the first time, but we'll have learned a whole lot for the second round. I hope we make it in the first round, but that's what the Parks and Rec Committee has been working on.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, planning board. No update, the meeting was canceled, but we need to set a public hearing for the land.
You said it. If you want me to go up there, I will.
So Wes contacted me a couple of weeks ago and let us know that the land use plan has been cleared for adoption by Division of Coastal Management. So we would just like to request that a public hearing be set for our next meeting.
We need to, motion set a public hearing for our next.
November date, so.
October 8th.
October 8th.
I think we set a public hearing for October the 8th at 6 p.m.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Got it. Update from, ESI committee. In the update that was been meeting. John was in. It's a meeting, so something like.
Tomorrow.
Okay, update of the, public safety building. I can take that. On September 2nd, the board discussed and approved the presentation, of the building that we finally came to, resolution. It included also the alternates that we were discussing, related to the roof, the siding, good looks, the ground screening, and the fourth day. Right after that meeting, we met with the contractor to kind of set some groundwork of what comes next. And that's going to continue, and hopefully we'll, there's another one scheduled for tomorrow. They're bringing us more information, and we've got it for a monthly meeting after that, or maybe even a weekly meeting of what we're doing. And in each case, we'll post what we have through our minute. We've done a minute paper as to what transcribed during that meeting, and also in a monthly such as this to let you know, keep you updated on what's going on. And I think we're looking at focusing on the price very quickly so we can tie that together and have a firm contract price and move forward. Beginning to look at construction drawings at breaking ground soon. Not soon, but it'll be a year, but we're moving in that direction. So, any questions or additions or?
The one positive is, the breaking ground will be September now of next year, which was later than what we had planned for. And when they're saying it's later, I got excited because that gives us about 3 more months of interest more on the full $8 million. So the gap is now less than 150,000. So that's a positive.
Nancy, what did I read in the last few days? There was another line item that we may not have to spend that could go toward the septic line item.
The building permit that Stephanie's not going to charge 30,000 for. So we got a cushion in there for septic now.
So does that take us to 55,000 on septic, or is there more than that?
That would allow 65,000 for septic.
Okay.
So it should be more than enough with it.
Well, we started the investigation now of the system, and I did get more information on the washdown. The washdown for the trucks and all, and that has to be treated through stormwater, not septic systems. So we'll wrap that up with stormwater as well. Another item that takes away from the septic issue. Any questions? We'll keep it going. Okay, here's one I think everybody's here for. Discuss, consider, and vote on the 2025 beach driving season.
So as you know, the beach driving season here begins on October 1st and it ends January 15th currently. And in the last couple of years, this board has decided to look at the conditions of the area, the beach driving area, to determine the safety of allowing the vehicles on the beach for this season. We have had some changes in the layout there in the situation. So this is the year now that we're back together again to decide. We have done some drone footage. The police department went out, they did some drone footage for you. That was recent. We did it at high tide. We also did it at low tide so that you can see the difference. And also provided you with some aerial photography of the area. So that would help you to determine in making your decision. So now it's just up for discussion.
Okay, Sam, I got asked you a question, put you on the spot. On the
A long trek now. We moved it.
But you get to stand up.
Yes. It finally comes back to you when there's a problem, they're driving on the beach and all that. Is that something that you are able to monitor? So it's the driving conditions are such that people shouldn't be out there.
We do patrol the beach, contrary to what some people say. Very rarely do we have any problems, issues with the fishermen. There is drinking that goes on there, but there's drinking that goes on there all summer long. So rarely, I mean, they watch this, Tate said they watch the tides. They know when they should be out there, and nobody wants to spend the night out there waiting for the tide to go back down. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I can just state the fact that we rarely have problems there. But we do watch it closely. Occasionally we get complaints that people are driving too fast or things like that. But overall, it's not a big issue for us.
Any questions? Do you have any problem with people going beyond the limits of where they're allowed to be?
Well, very rarely. We restricted the access to around the whole point, I guess. But so there's a sign up there, and you know you can't hide tracks. And we don't see tracks. Occasionally, somebody will go down where it's a little bit past where it's wide enough to turn around if it's narrow where the sign is. But other than that, we don't see any violations there.
I do want to also add that on the permit application itself, that's filled out by each person that obtains a permit. There is a statement on there that does say that the town reserves the right to close the access at any time. So if things change, something drastic happens, conditions change, we can close the access, whether that be for the rest of the season or even for a short time period until conditions improve.
Absolutely, we can and we have, you know, for high tides, you know, lunar tides, things like that. But usually it's the fishermen understand. So.
I think nobody wants to lose a truck of that column. Saltwater is not friendly.
It has happened once, but it was not a fisherman. So they kind of yeah, they earned it.
All right, thanks. I believe, as I understood what you just said, at times you will go out and block off because of king tides and stuff like that. You pay attention to that.
That's correct, Mr. Gunter. If we go out there and it's a lunar tide or a king tide and there's just no beach, we can close the gate. Typically, we don't even have to do that. The fishermen, they know what they're looking at.
So, I had a call from one of the residents in Serenity Point. He also spoke at last month's meeting, urging us to pay attention to just what we're talking about, the king tides, and that's what his particular concern was. So I looked at that. I looked at the king tides calendar, and to try and legislate rules around these weeks that they have it, that'd be impossible, I think. But if your guys on top of it, will pay attention when the king tides come, and you know it. I think that he will be satisfied if he's looking at it like that.
And we do patrol, and occasionally the most common issue and problem we have there is people just not going down far enough to reach the first sign. We have a sign up there that's probably 500 yards down that says parking south of the sign. You know, so people who don't, and all it takes is for one to stop short and the others follow suit. But we just move them, and it's not really an issue.
We also have a sign, no left turn.
We do have a sign.
We just recently.
I've
seen trucks go by my house.
I'm gonna get run out of here, but I don't see why they don't open north, because there's a lot more people.
Good night, Dan. On the end of what John said though, in working on the south end, I walk the south end at least once a week, more often. But when we were working on it, all of a sudden we found out it wasn't 150 acres, it was 110. These drone pictures, by the day after they took them, they're gonna be different. They're gonna be different all the time. And we can't make a decision based on those because it's constantly evolving. Lastly, Tate, where can you get a pickup for 50 grand?
Mine isn't that. I'm talking about the higher end.
Oh.
I got a beach truck.
I just want one comment I'm gonna make. I'm like on the fence here, but we're talking about banning
driving on the beach, not banning fishing on the beach. So I just wanna, I'm on the fence with this because looking at the numbers as well, we have 10 owners that get permits. And full of 28 permits are issued. And I live next to an access and the fishermen are wheeling their carts up and down 15 steps, trying to get out there to go fish. So I just want to clarify, we're talking about not banning fishing on the beach or beach fishing. But we're talking about possibly determining if we should allow driving on the beach.
Correct.
Also, I did reach out to the state DEQ, who basically are going to take over ownership of the point, and Tancred Miller, director, and he's volleyed back and forth, and really he has no position that they don't own it, so they're not going to take a position. They would like to be kept in the system as we look at regulations that they'll have and our regulations to make sure they're not overstepping ours and we're not overstepping. That will continue with the states. Basically, they're going to be the owners of that property.
But not the beach,
But not the beach.
not the beach.
Not the beach, but the area where the dunes, if there were an encroachment and driving in the dunes, it would create a problem.
Sure.
But he said right now there is no provision from the state level.
I like
We, allow beach driving between October the 1st and January the 15th.
I second.
For the purpose of fishing.
What purpose of fishing? Yeah.
Okay, with that.
You can't take your girlfriend down there, Andy.
You just have to have a pole in your vehicle.
Speaking of equipment.
Trying to do it quick here. Had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Continue discussion proposed amendment to the solid waste ordinance.
Yes, Mayor. At last month's meeting, staff had proposed some amendments to the solid waste ordinance. The original purpose was to clean it up since the recycling center has been removed and we've gone to curbside recycling. But in addition to that, we just took the opportunity to kind of go through it and do a whole review. In your packets, you'll find the proposed amendments to the ordinance. They're very much the same as they were at the last meeting, being I received no additional comments or feedback from board or public. And so I think at this point, I just really wanted to point out that some of the proposed amendments in here and how that would affect property owners and also for enforcement purposes. So on page 3 of 5 in your packets, for where it says location of containers, that particular amendment there would require property owners to have their carts pulled back in the way it's proposed right now, 10 feet from the right of way, at all times except for scheduled pickup times. Now that can be massaged in another way, maybe 10 feet from pavement, or, certainly is open to discussion. But again, is this something that the board is even, wanting to discuss to put in the ordinance? So I think that's number 1. Also, on the very last page 5 of 5, under responsibility of owner, the proposed amendment requires that the property owners pull the carts back after pickup by 6 p.m. the day after collection. So again, these are ordinances that we don't currently have, or requirements, I should say, that we don't currently have in our ordinance. It would be an enforcement action. Again, we could talk about that in detail as well, but I guess looking for direction, is this something that the board would like to put in the ordinance to have these requirements.
I think we're in that direction. We've had a lot of complaints, and it goes from not only to recycling or theft carts, but also theft removal. And Tim had a good
We
suggestion.
were talking, I think before we move or discuss any changes, we as a board, we should meet with GFL. I think, our residents are calling GFL, they're posting it on social media, talking to people in Raleigh, not getting replies. We weren't involved in the contract negotiations. The contract came to us and it was more of an island-wide, save some money. And personally, the $3,000 or $5,000 we saved based on all the complaints I hear about.
It's a disaster.
Probably should have, in the future, dissected, look into all these contracts and changes that we make. So before, I mean, somebody's suggestions, and I talked about the 10 days. I mean, even President Sharon mentioned the appearance. I mean, even with debris sitting out on the street for 10 days, I personally, because debris could be, you know, toilets and everything for 10 days. And we're complaining about garbage for 3 days, you know, so I think that amendment there definitely needs to be considered for a solution better than the 10 days. I understand remote ownerships and everything else. Like I said previously, I've run up to Surf City to friends' houses to pull in their garbage cans so they don't get a ticket. I mean, so I think if you find ways to do it or we enforce it, and we be serious about enforcing our ordinances, eventually we'll train the people to apply to them. But I'd like to, you know, meet with Frank and GFL and yourself and maybe another commissioner. Because the other thing we heard when we discussed the contract was about replacing all the cans, which were never done. We had excess amount of cans that were received when we got that grant or whatever that we applied for.
We did receive new recycle carts, not trash carts.
But we bought those.
We did
We bought
purchase,
those.
we purchased those with a portion of grant money and then our own funding.
But my understanding was that they would pay us for them, and I've since found they didn't. They rolled it into, am I correct, into the price
pricing.
of the recycling contract.
We got a discount on
Which is
the
very
pricing.
different than you're gonna pay us for what we just paid $100 grand.
Right, which is exactly what, they did with the trash carts as well. They, now I will say that, you know, the trash carts are not in great shape. They are very old. They are very, you know, they've been pieced together as much as they can. They didn't want the trash carts, but it was kind of going to be an all or nothing situation. But so they did give us a break, you know, per cart on the trash carts as well to acquire that.
Yeah, I'm gonna make an assumption, those carts don't comply with their machinery.
Yeah.
So they didn't want them. They thought maybe they could use them, but for them to buy those carts would be, you know.
And I have reached out to them about a complete change out with the trash carts because we are, you know, we're experiencing a lot of complaints about the trash carts being broke during the pickup. But, you know, again, it's now being done by a truck with an arm, which is a lot different than a human. So you know, we already have brittle carts and then they're using this machinery. So it's kind of a little bit of a disaster. So they are replacing them quickly because they're all breaking, but they're not doing a mass change out at this part.
To my point, Frank, I think we just need to meet with them, get everything's, understand what they're gonna do and not do, and then we could address this and move on.
And I think that's a great idea because as part of conversation after tonight, you know, that would definitely be something they're going to have to be a part of. So, you know, we can't leave carts at the end of the road.
As long as we know what we're paying for, I think we can move, you know, from here.
Sure.
I make a motion, we table this and a group from the board can meet.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and
I'd like to get involved with
I'd be
it.
glad to.
so the commissioner, we gonna do it?
Fred, let's spread it out a little.
For the first time in my career,
Okay.
kicking the can down the road seems to make sense, right?
So I'm sorry, who was?
Myself.
Joe.
Do we need a motion to continue this or just?
table for the next meeting.
Have a motion there?
Yeah, I'd like to meet with him like as soon as possible.
I make a motion, we table this until after the meeting.
Well, next board meeting.
Yes.
Have a second? Have a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on. Now, discuss, amendments to the property addressing and display ordinance. Oh,
So the addressing has been a code enforcement, conversation for a very long time. I've kind of been by myself for a little while. So now that we have a very young, ambitious building inspector, we'd like to start addressing this. I had some conversations with Sam and Bo both about their issues, if they were having some safety issues, some response issues, things like that. And they are, new officers can't find it. We had EMS that got lost, and they have lost more than a few times. So we need some numbers that are displayed that can be seen clearly. So that's kind of the purpose of this. I want to discuss it with you guys and see, how you felt about it. If you had any suggestions as well. And we do need to address the ocean side and sound side because water rescue and, beach rescue. We had one the other day where they said it was access to and they found them past access for. It was just, they went on it too. So we don't have any numbers displayed so that they know where they are so that when they call in, that our guys know where to go. So the changes we're proposing to be made are that the standard minimum size of a number for residential or non-residential structure shall be 6 inches in height. Minimum sizes larger than the standard shall be required for any situation where the standard size would not provide necessary identification deemed appropriate by the town zoning administrator or building inspector. The color of the numbers placed on a structure or pedestal shall be in contrast to the color scheme of the structure or pedestal and reflective so that the number is clearly visible. And then to section 6-289 locations, it is mandatory that all ocean fronted and sound fronted dwellings post their assigned numbers on the ocean side and sound front, as well as the mandatory posting on the street or roadside. The numbers are to be placed on the right corner of the structure closest to the ocean or sound front, house, porch, deck, etc. The right side of the structure shall be that side located on the right when looking at the structure from the ocean or sound. The 4-inch numbers shall be placed on an 18-inch by 6-inch green aluminum placard. And then
You got 6-inch numbers on the top and you got 4-inch numbers.
And you're gonna hand that
so the
out?
6-inch are on the front. We can change that and make it.
Now, I'm saying you got 4 inches or 6 inches.
Right, 6 inches is on the front. So for that rear placard, for the sound side or the ocean side, and I'm sorry, I forgot to send Rochelle the pictures that we took. We went to Surf City the other day and took some of the pictures of theirs. Theirs were visible somewhat on the ones that were bigger, but not all of theirs are that standard 18 by 6. I think if we got to that size, then we would probably be able to see them a lot better. And if we have to go out there and help them place them, yes, that will be mine and Jonathan's job. But we're more than willing to do that too, just so we can get it visible.
I'm going to speak about the beach. So your goal here is to identify a house number from the beach, looking over 2 10-foot dunes at about 50 yards.
We rode that as well. We went down, our beach as well. Closer to the dune, you can't see it as well on some of our houses, but if you go further towards the ocean, you can see them better.
And I will point out that that's actually already a requirement in our ordinance. It's just that it's not, we're clarifying the location.
Yeah,
Right.
The green aluminum is?
No, just that it has to be on water-fronted sides, ocean and sound.
Well, there are a couple of issues. One is marking the accesses so that from the water, I get that those signs are visible, and that's a town issue. I'll be honest, to put a green 18-inch aluminum placard on all the oceanfront and soundfront homes, I think is about as tacky as we can get. It is worse than leaving the trash cans out by the side. And we need the visibility. I get that. I went to Lowe's today and bought a 4-inch, 3-inch, and a 6-inch number, and 3 inch is too small. 4-inch seems reasonable. 6, it's getting pretty big.
Right, I mean, we read the other, and you guys got copies of the other ordinances
Yes.
that we referenced.
And Surf City's 4-inch requirement, correct?
I think
Is it Surf City or North Topsail?
North Topsail was 4-inch and Surf City was 6. Yes, Surf City is 6 and then North Topsail is 4.
I'm gonna add one more thing. This sign would be right on my deck. The other thing is, we now have technology where I could walk in front of a house and tell you exactly what number it is and what's the street address. So I'm really concerned that we're overstretching trying to identify a beachfront or a soundfront house. When we have access to that, everybody has access to that, and to put signage up and require people to put a certain sign up. I'm not sure I want to do that.
Respectfully, I was just gonna ask, what am I missing with Google Earth? I mean, everybody knows.
Well, I think also you think about it in an emergency situation, you know, you're not.
Well, they have access to Google Earth just like we do. And, Surf City has flags flying at every access telling you what the access number is.
We do as well.
Yeah, so, I just think this is overstepping.
I mean, I think that probably Bo or Sam could speak to this better than I can on either of those sides. Because they're the ones that are actually going to these calls.
And again, you know, this is all just for conversation, just to start a discussion. It's an issue that was raised and has been noted, you know, internally with staff. And so we're just trying to find a way that we can, you know, help them make sure that they can get out to help our residents and our visitors.
Wasn't this debated along quite many years ago? That we, what's our outcome with that?
I don't remember it being debated
We
here.
discussed it,
We had,
but we didn't make any changes.
I think we just.
Well, like Christina said, the ordinance says that we're supposed to have those on there now.
Numbers is one thing, a 18-inch green
Requirements.
aluminum placard. Ask the residents who are oceanfront and soundfront. You wanna go put that on the corner of your house?
I actually have numbers at my walk off on the post. As far as you go out, I put numbers out there.
Having numbers up there is one thing, but requiring everybody to have a 18-inch aluminum placard, I don't.
What, right, and that's, like I said, we went to other ordinances to get a starting.
I have not a decision, but a general attitude of the board appetite. Do you want the next
Discussion.
But I can see from the police or from Mercy, if you're going out, if that guy's going to Mercy, if somebody's having a heart attack, he ain't got time to look on his phone and say, okay, I'm gonna pull up Google Earth, I'm gonna find out where this is. He's gonna be going down the road, trying to look at where that place is gonna be and stuff.
Having numbers on their house is one thing, requiring,
The beach.
yeah,
I'm not
on
talking about big.
oceanfront and soundfront, aluminum placards.
A lot of people have on the streets out here.
We're okay with the street, but the beach, and then enforcing it.
Sam and you're the guys that have to respond to it.
Our biggest preference is to have it on the street side with a 6-inch letter, and it does, and reflective, because at night it's kind of hard to see. The reason it's brought up on the ocean is you got to realize 70% of the people on the ocean don't live here. And when they've got somebody with a heart attack, they're drowning, or that phone's useless to them. They can't think good enough, they're in panic, and they can't sit there and pull up where they're at. And usually, like the drowning we had the other day, almost drowning, 2 people, they went across access 2, and by the time they were in the waves and everything, they were in 4, and it came back in. We dispatched everybody to 2, and by going to 2 instead of 4, we were about, I don't know, 5.5, 6 minutes further than we could have stopped if we'd have known, if they could just seen. You'd be surprised how many people do have some numbers on the ocean side. There's a few out there, and we do get a call saying, I'm there, but even the people that rent the house down here do not know what address they're in. They have no clue. So if it could just be in, it doesn't have to be green placard. That was what was in other ordinance, and we just brought it into that. But they do make reflective numbers, and they're in different colors. And if we could just do it on both sides, even on the, out on the sound side, you'd be surprised how many accidents are going on out there. Or either, and they don't know where you're at. They have no, they give you a buoy number, by the time you get to them, they're further down because that was the last buoy they saw. So it's just, it's mostly for the quick response and that we need to be able to do what we really need to do. And, because even with the dispatch, Mayor Blanchard is a good one. They went on Google Earth and it sent them to the wrong place. And so it's not always correct when it does send you there. And also, as you know, we've got a lot of houses that's 1A, like 101A, 10C, 10D. And we had a call 3 months ago to 106. We got there, smoke, nobody there. They said smoke alarm was going off, and we were 1 minute from forcing the door when we happened to realize that we got 4 houses here with the same number on them. There was no A, no B, no C. So we almost broke into a man's house, and actually the call was in the house C down the lane. So that's where it's so important to us. We can do as much damage as a fire can, there's nothing in there, and not know it. But once that alarm goes off, we have to make entry. So I would suggest we at least put them on the roadside, and then the ocean sound side is just for safety of our public.
So really the numbers of the green placard,
Now that was just suggested on what other.
they're really just the numbers is already in our ordinance. So,
It says that they have to be there. There's no specifics on size, reflective, or anything like that. And I think that is important that we need to have.
when I, used to fill in for the guys that seem to show up for the beach patrol, and, I had a conversation with Sam, and I said, Sam, so when you get a call on the beach, what do they tell you? And we're about half mile south of the pier or whatever. We didn't even have numbers on our flags. And then we talked about it, we had numbers put on our flags. But I think in a panic mood, in an emergency, I don't know if people are gonna congregate around the event, whatever it is. I'm just talking about the beach. I think we need to separate sound, beach, and street. I'm just talking about the beach. I think that, we can address the beach in a different way versus the street. I understand your street, and I think we should enforce that because it's a safety issue. And it's not even debatable. We should enforce what you guys see out there, which needs to be fixed, and fix it. But I think that we have to take a little step further for the beach and sound, because you're always gonna have people, even if it's a boat, whatever, it takes them to float another 100 yards before you get there. But I think there's different issues.
I agree with you there, and that's the reason I say, street side is our main concern.
Yeah.
The other part is just for the public, really.
Sam?
No, I agree that this may not be the optimum proposal. We need to keep in mind, we're dealing a lot of times with seasonal employees. So my officers are not the best example. They're up and down the roads all night, all day. They know where houses are, they know, but our EMS, our seasonal water rescue people, they're not familiar. So if there's anything that can be done to help them, then I'd be all for that. I'm not saying you need to have reflective sign on every house, but maybe.
Every house should have a number.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So
That's-
at the very least, the roadsides, that way, because we can get there first and then direct them. As the Commissioner Vivek said, we typically find them based on the crowd that's gathered around the incident. But,
Yeah, I think we should table this, revisit it next meeting, and just identify the 3 different ones based on your guys' recommendations of the chiefs. Thank you. But it needs to be addressed. Yeah, a little more information that you might find, say from another beach.
All right, I'll go further out. Like I said, this is just a starting point. That's why we're just discussing. So it's at the size, location, and being able to identify.
That would be, motion to table this for next meeting.
Second.
We'll make a motion.
You're too quick on me.
Sorry.
Make a motion, table this to the October
Second.
board meeting.
A motion to second, all in favor?
Next meeting.
You ready to go home?
No, I just.
Got some considered vote on the amendment to the 25-26 fee schedule. Beth?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this is a little bit of a housekeeping item. Staff recognized that the fee that we charge that is on our current fee schedule for road bores was not sufficient to actually cover the cost of the road bore. Currently, right now, we charge $1,000 for those property owners that need a road bore for their water, and the cost is $1,200. So we are requesting that the fee structure be changed to $1,200, and also in addition to that, Tom has reached out to the vendor that we use, and he has guaranteed this price for us at least until June 30th of 2026.
That's a pretty good agreement.
Yeah.
You get that kind of agreement. I'm concerned if it's, is it enough? And do we need to change this mooring thing every couple months?
We'll probably have to revisit it every fiscal year.
Fiscal year,
Hopefully have to
okay.
get updated pricing.
Raise it now.
Let's go ahead and put it as actual expenses.
Well, we did talk about that at one point, but we charge the road, if you need a road bore, because not everyone does. If you need a road bore, we charge that as part of the permit cost. So we sort of need to have that ahead of time in order to put it all together. To try and get that after the fact is difficult for staff and tracking that down. Truly.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
One more question. If we have the board at 1,200, and it comes in higher than that, do we pay that or is it?
Well, it won't come in higher at that cost for this
You're
year.
guaranteeing that?
They are guaranteeing that price.
That's right. Okay. Motion to approve the
Second.
proposed amendment to the fee schedule. Now.
Have a motion and a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Good. Yeah. Discuss updates to times of internal control policy and conflict of interest.
This has to do with ARPA funding. We're gonna let Connie take this one.
Okay, you have in front of you or in your packet, the internal control policy and the conflict of interest policy. The ARP, when we started out with the ARP funding and the grants, we did 5 policies as we were instructed. And now they have decided they want them updated a little bit differently. We must do this and have it submitted by October the 14th. We had some other things that had to be submitted. I have already done that. And during our meeting when the lady was here in the early part of August, I think it was August 12th when we met, we were at 95% compliant. So we are just putting this in front of you so you can kind of take a look at it. We've reached out to a couple of the other cities, Surf City being one, and they've already adopted it, updated it. So we're going to kind of pattern behind that. And this is also the folder that the lady gave us to look, you know, for us to update, have a sample. So anyway, that's what it is. So next meeting, you will see these 2 policies on your agenda, and we will have completed with information in there. You'll have them prior to the meeting. So if you have any other questions, but we really need to do this.
And they are quite lengthy, so we're giving you a whole month to
I
review.
read it and we need to move forward on this to.
Yes, this is for
Compliant-
federal
compliant
funding
with
and
federal
state
funding.
funding.
We really don't have a choice.
No, we don't.
I make the motion, we put this on the agenda for October for a vote.
Second,
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'm just curious, when was all this written?
These policies,
22.
well,
22?
we actually, we had adopted ours, I believe in 2020 or 2021. So, and again, there was 5 policies. We adopted every one we were supposed to, went right along with what we were supposed to, but this is something that the federal government had changed and state money. So we need to, we just have to do it.
Just a shame that we have to do what we have to do. Such a bureaucratic waste of time.
Yeah, so we have some good money for these policies.
Hearing no other discussion, I have a motion and a second. Second vote, all in favor? Aye. It passes. Okay, manager and attorney report. Mr. Attorney, just all be quiet.
Isn't that good? Fine and gorgeous thing. It's been a quiet month. I think it was fun to be as far as staff. Want to compliment this, your board, your work on the nursing building is, I think, really extraordinary and shows great dedication. And in the end, it's going to save you a lot of legal problems. I would have recommended this grade without denying the conflict of interest thing. It was not on your agenda for adoption, but it's. You may think of it as a waste of time, but I'll tell you, updates or things like this, it's kind of more for a good confidence.
That's part of the previous.
Yeah, probably the common life.
Should be reviewed.
you reviewed this, correct?
Yeah.
So,
But it was on the agenda for your discussion.
okay, good.
That's it.
That's all. Record. Manager.
I have nothing really further to report than what was in the, board packet unless you have questions, but I just do want to mention that, I've been fielding a lot of phone calls regarding the Vitex project. And that has started. Treatment did start in, mid-August. There is an interactive map on the TISPC website. You can get to it from a link in the town website as well. That map is going to be updated when treatment has been done. There is a legend on there, but basically, there's a little misunderstanding that if you've signed a waiver for the Vitex, that you will be getting treatment, and that is not the case. On the map, you will see there are properties that have X's on them. Some have red X's and some have green X's. If you are going to be treated in this phase of this project, you will have an X on the property. Once it'll be red X. Once that property is treated, then they'll turn that to green to show that it's been treated. So you'll notice there's a lot of people who have signed waivers that are not being treated in this phase. So I want to make that announcement public, and hopefully that gets around. But if you have any questions about the Vitex project, please give me a call. I'm happy to talk to anybody about it.
This question, Christina, you've done a great job administrating that. It's been a very tedious thing. Has there been any spots that are identified where Vitex is thriving, but yet they refuse to sign a waiver?
No, not necessarily in this phase, because the only properties that we are treating in this phase is what was identified in the windshield survey. And so far, everybody identified in that has signed a waiver. I will say I've been doing Vitex for a long time. I was on the original task force way back when in another town. And the education at that time just wasn't out there. And so to see people now that are really passionate about removal and they're knowledgeable about the harm that it does to their property. So that's been really encouraging. So I haven't ran into that, and I don't know that I will.
We had a discussion about the mailboxes
And I think we ended that talk maybe about you communicating with the postal service about what is required for a mailbox, because I've seen mailboxes going up everywhere. I've seen signs on posts saying no parking within 15 feet. Is that a ordinance or law for a mailbox?
Nothing that strikes
And
me.
they're all different distances from the road.
I think we need to message, or hopefully it's not too late.
There was some years ago an inquiry made about that. There's an overlay of federal regulation. I wish I was.
All the mailbox route stuff comes out of Holly Ridge. All the, route stuff comes out of Holly Ridge, and Janet and Karen handle that. But it's pretty much 2 feet from, they say 2 feet from the road, but they don't say the white line or where the pavement ends, and I think it's 48 inches high. And have to be in numerical order, stuff like that.
I just think we need to
Thank
have
you,
some
Dan.
clarification for Sam, the residents, our ordinance.
Well, I did reach out and I spoke with, someone at the Holly Ridge Post Office who was very helpful, and friendly, but the problem is literally it's almost on a case by case basis. So I asked if there was any literature, any brochure, any information that we could pass along to educate to our residents, but the problem is it depends on what street they live on. There are some streets that they would rather the mailboxes be close to the road. There are some where they want them to pull off of the road to get to the mailboxes. The only thing that she could give me that was real consistent was the height. Depending on what side of the road and all of those. And her quote was, have them call me.
But they don't answer.
One of the biggest concerns that the route drivers has is if anything is parked, trash can is in the way, you're not getting your mail that day. So it's gotta be an uninstructive pull in, pull out, or they will not.
That's probably why that's what we maybe an ordinance or,
I'm gonna take a look at that.
I don't know, I'm just off the top of my head, I'm not aware of any ordinance.
I know, the postal service has a, installation design that you can download that shows the height and setbacks. That's the only thing we got to go on. Change it.
well, we're pretty unique with the sidewalk. There, some not there.
I found out, I placed mine, and the guy came and said, you can't put it there, because the post office by regulation, the post cannot back more than 5 feet. If you're at the end of a road, there's no turnaround, you have to put yours out there.
Again, very unique situations, why it's sort of a case by case.
I got a question for Connie too. Connie, I know you sent out that email that we finally received funding. Did that take 5 years to receive?
Would you like me to answer that honestly?
I just calculated it from that was, yes, yes,
Yes, sir. It did take
5 years to replenish our BIS account.
Yes, sir. But we were determined.
You know, it's the timeline of getting reimbursed. It seems to be getting longer and longer.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
How about you going over the, okay, yeah.
That should be good. Yeah, streamlined into it.
Good, that's it.
Yeah, public comments, any public comments? Mr. Meehan?
Can I add quick?
Sure.
I'll be very quick. Based on what Frank Sharon talked about, the appearance of Topsail Beach, my only concern as living right in the middle of the business section is the gravel from the parking lots, from the businesses going into the highway. I'll blow mine off every other week, try to. I think that needs to be addressed because it's people walking, it's in the walkway. It's just too much gravel coming into the road in the business section. That's my biggest concern.
I'll add, that was a big topic, year ago in Parks and Recreation. we were putting together our Park and Rec master plan, our consultant said, wow, there's gravel everywhere. And I hope that the town can address that. And
With thousands of gravel coming across the white line too.
Their commission, John?
we had a great meeting tonight, all local issues, great public comments, great board and administration discussion. So I'm going to jump off a local topic and go national for a second. And just ask everybody to reread their Constitution, our Bill of Rights, amendments to the Constitution, the Federalist Papers written by the forefathers of our country, and ask everybody in this room and our community to please pray for our community and our country. Tired of seeing our flag flying at half-mast, and tired of tragedy, and just hope that we can all join together as Americans and be proud of our country and our community. And one more thing I'd like to say is, in times of crisis, 9/11, COVID, tragedies around the state and the country, I always feel safe in Topsail Beach. And we've all asked ourselves, what does Topsail Beach mean? A lot of what it means to me and my family is safety. And I appreciate that. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Bud.
John?
I'm just so glad that we've gotten to where we are on the public safety building. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, we had a very, very positive response to, the proposal that we set forth, a few weeks ago. There's been, a lot of, good comments and thank yous, and very little negative feedback. And I had a lot of emotional and time, energy invested in that, proposal. And, it was a real relief to see how it was received by the town. I appreciate that. Would like to acknowledge having worked with, Bo and Sam through, several meetings where we had to figure out exactly what the proposal would be, that would be acceptable to the town and to them. And those were very positive conversations. They made it clear what they needed. And I think we've gotten them what they need. So I appreciate having worked with them and with everybody else that we work with.
I just want to thank everyone that comes to the meetings and speaks out. It's a lot harder sitting up here than over there, and hearing from y'all and getting your input helps tremendously. Not everybody's going to always be happy with everything, but we try to listen and find a happy median. And in that view, I just want to say that I was very much against charging parking at the ocean access. John Gunner was a proponent of it and limiting to the ocean access. Okay, that's tolerable. Well, based on today, just off the ocean, we should come right about 150,000 in net profit to the town. That is 2 cents in taxes just from the oceanfront access. And, you know, as long as we make it so it works for the town, I just got to say, wasn't a bad idea. Thank you.
Well, thank everyone for coming out. We had a great meeting, especially when we got the honor Doris tonight. I mean, she's just one of our, of our communities that we got to honor her. So
From her speech, she ain't done yet.
That might be a lot of big results. I think it's great that, I think like the part of Topsail to me is like being able to get down there and if we want to go and drive on the beach and fish there. I think that's part of me coming out here. That's always been part of, it's keeping that kind of atmosphere with that kind of It's just, yeah, it just makes me feel better, and I think makes Topsail what Topsail is. That's it.
Yeah.
I got a couple things, ditto with Doris. When I moved here, I got a PO box and she basically educated me on the town. If I had a question, I mean, I talked to Doris when I picked up my mail. But anyway, gonna miss her. Paid parking numbers, huge. I'd like to, similar to the GFL meeting, I think we need to go in that direction with a lot of other meetings. We used to have a DOT meeting. I think the last one I attended was when Mike Rose was here. We would meet with DOT in January and give them what we needed, kind of things. Similar to the rocks up there by the substation, which get so bad, and they came down and cleared it. I think we have to start having those types of meetings like we're having with GFL, with DOT, and at the beginning of the year or whenever we need to have them. We're paying taxes for DOT, and our roads should not have gravel on them, whether it's a safety issue or we could come up with a million reasons. Because we talked to DOT about no left turn by the park there. We talked to them about a lot of things, and I think that dialogue, I think, will help us to understand what we can ask for and what we can't get. On the shared services, everything about Pender County EMS and fire, they are moving forward with that. And my concern is about the EMS and paramedics. And I think we need to meet with Surf City and Pender again. We already did meet with them once and got a little bit of information, but that gentleman actually voted, which was a little confusing from what he told us at the meeting and how he voted recently. But another meeting, I think we should meet with Surf City about how are they handling, the paramedic there, or, how are they starting? I mean, they're a lot bigger population. They have to be, because our paramedic is coming from Surf City. And I think we need to maybe, versus one town asking Pender County for some help, using two towns to ask for some help and making those joint meetings. Like I said, I just think we need to do some more of these meetings with, whether it's DOT, Surf City, GFL, whoever it is, to help us find a path. So I'd really like to get those meetings going. I know Christina is capable because of her experience, but I think she might need some leverage behind her when she goes to these meetings. And I think that's what we did when we attend any meeting. That's about it. I'm real tired. Just got off the plane. I think that's it. The south end. Oh, we could figure out what our commitments are for the south end as far as us taking it over. I think we need to start looking at that for next year. In addition to that,
Taking it up.
well, managing it, what our responsibilities are to manage that property still. Are we still responsible for cleaning it, the restrooms, the parking? We bought an acre and a half for 300,000.
The parking.
The whole thing. I think and I think for the public to know what's happening, that, to keep them updated on the transition of what's gonna happen there. Similar to, just reviewing things like that. And then the other thing, that was the craziest budget sessions we had last year. I know we can't start too early, but man, we need to start scheduling budget meetings, because I just think it'll be a lot easier on everybody versus sitting through 10 budget workshops or whatever it is.
It'll be easier next time.
That's it. Thanks for coming.
I want to again reiterate, the same thing. I appreciate all y'all coming and voicing your concerns and comments. And I was really appreciative during the building hearing that once we finally got started, people came forward with comments, and it really helps, because it's not our building, it's y'all's building too. So for us to sit here and make a decision without your help is kind of productive. We really need it. We need to work together to get everything pulled through. As an ending note, please remember tomorrow. It was a terrible situation and let's never forget. So, have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor? Adjourn.